All right, stop the presses. I actually hit the record button to start with, so. All right, so with that, let's call this regular board meeting scheduled for March 22nd at 7 p.m. to order, please. Can we start with call to order? Or I just did that. Whew, I can't read and talk. So we're gonna start with Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry, I'm letting people in at the same time, so. All right, we'll start with Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right. So now let's start with roll call. That's what I meant to say before, but.
Mr. Cummings,
Here.
Ms. McGuire, Mr. Spencer,
Present.
Mr. Palmer,
Here.
Mr. Sutton here, Mr. Wushtabarth,
Present.
Ms. Richards.
Here, thank you. With that, do we have any agenda additions this evening?
Before you go on, because Jamie's taken basically a pre-notified absence, should you not make a motion that you're giving her an excused absence for this meeting?
What's the difference between excused and unexcused?
Here's my emoji.
Are they gonna send the officer around for truancy?
Yeah.
There is often provisions in municipalities that after so many unexcused absences, board members can be subject to certain actions against them. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
I
would,
don't. Yeah.
I would take that. I guess I to be safe, I would make a motion that you would do that. I would recommend that you do that.
Okay.
What's the reason?
Many municipalities, and again, I'm not.
No. I mean, what's Jamie's reason for the absence?
Oh, she's on vacation.
That she
Okay.
gave the reason she is not in attendance.
I never approved her vacation. I don't know if we should authorize that.
It's usually only if nobody, nobody hears from them, there's no notification and they don't show.
Yeah, she gave us ahead of time.
Known as an unexcused absence of a board member.
Well,
And
upon
that
Mitch's
becomes-
request, I would like to move to excuse Jamie's absence on the basis that she provided ahead of time notice for her vacation.
Okay, also-
Support.
All right, so there's a motion by Mr. Spencer and support by Mr. Cummings to acknowledge Jamie's predisposition, I guess.
Excuse absence for this.
Okay, excuse absence. All right, get out of jail card free. I mean, I'm sorry, excuse absence. Okay, all right, that's all my joking for one night. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Wushtabarth,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Ms. Richards.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, so with that, we have agenda additions. I know we have the one, did we get an ordinance number for that, Mitch? 2021, the emergency declaration thing?
Looking right now.
In the meantime, do we have any other ones? No, and we're gonna put that under resolutions and ordinances. I'm taking it, number 4. And we'll call that ordinance 2021.
Sorry.
I don't know if we have a number.
No, it's be ordinance number 2021 not sure what that number would be.
Question mark, to be determined, I guess. Okay, we'll just add that later. Maybe we can, maybe in the meantime, I know Tammy's on the meeting. Maybe in the meantime, she has access to maybe find what that number would be. I don't know if we've had any other ordinances this year. I can't remember. So, okay, anything else under agenda additions?
Yes, please. I'd like to just add under the subcommittee reports,
I'd like to talk about the Air Force seeking public comment on a proposed cleanup here at
Okay.
Wordsmith.
So just the RAB, would that be like a RAB update,
well,
maybe, Tim? Would that be all right, Tim?
No, it's actually more than that.
Okay, the
It's
public
actually
comment. Yep.
this public comment request.
Okay, from
talk
Air
about all of it.
Force. Okay.
Yes.
All right, with those two then, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Support.
So moved.
All right, so there's a motion by Mr. Cummings. Support by Mr. Palmer.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was supporting you. I think I just said support. So
That's
it
okay.
wasn't much of a motion. Fair enough.
That's right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. With that then, first on is the public hearing, the first public hearing basically for the special assessment district. We need a motion to go into that.
Make a motion that we go into the first public hearing for the Van Etten SAD.
Support.
All right, there's a motion by Mr. Westerbarth and support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wurstabarth,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes. Okay, so we're now in the first public hearing for the special assessment district. Again, the purpose of this hearing is a little more informal, I guess you would say, than the next one, is to determine whether or not the said improvement is both reasonable and necessary. So if there's anybody on tonight that wishes to comment in regard to the special assessment district, there's a few people here. I can't tell who's here for what. But if you're here to comment for that, please use the raise hand feature. So, I don't know if Carol. So again, if you're in to make a comment on the special assessment district at all. I am not seeing anything. Anybody else? Guess I'll check a couple of the phone calls or phone. Need our water, I don't think would be Kelly's iPad. Oh. Okay, well, I don't think we have any public comment. Which happens. There's one person that just logged in. Phone number 313-605-8898. If you're here for a public comment, you can, for the special assessment district, you can raise hand feature or send a message. Not seeing any. Oh, Jan's here for fresher. So I guess with that, does the board have any comment? Guessing not. All right, so then I need a
Well,
motion.
I would just make a comment briefly, and I live on Van Etten Lake and pay into this special assessment district. And for the years that I've been here on the lake, we've seen a noted improvement in the quality of the lake because of the efforts of the number one, the weed committee for Van Etten Lake Association, and also the companies that have been treating the invasive species and keeping control on the normal weeds. We don't want to eliminate all the weeds in the lake or we wouldn't have any fish, but
Yeah, good point.
if you don't do something, it can get out of control. And over the last years since we've had this special assessment district, they've done a very good job of maintaining our lake in a very good condition.
Okay, and I know, you know, and when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, we did, you know, have the information in the packet for the board for the, you know, and it's in again tonight, for the last year's management review and so on. Sorry, I was just trying to finish your screen. So, okay, with that, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All right. Is there support?
I think
Support.
Bill. I think Bill supported you, Ann, so.
Oh,
You made
gotcha.
the
All
motion.
right. So I guess I made the motion, didn't I? All right, so there's a motion by Ms. Richards. Sorry, long day. Motion by Ms. Richards, support by Mr. Palmer to close the public hearing. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Wurstabarth,
Yes,
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. We're back into the regular meeting. We're now on to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda this evening, we have a couple sets of meeting minutes. We have the work session meeting minutes from March 5th. Are there any comments there?
Yeah, there was, we mentioned it Friday, you have Mr. Cummings being both absent and present.
Right, so we were going to adjust that.
Okay, I
Thank you.
didn't receive an update on that, so
Okay,
I didn't know if that had been changed.
I don't think that one went out, to be honest, that I'm aware of. Did it, Josh?
I believe just to Tammy after we updated it Friday, I sent it to her, but it may not have got out to you guys yet.
Okay, so we'll make that change. So that with that change, it looks good.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, and then the regular meeting from March 8th. That should have been emailed out to everybody and updated in the packet, correct? Josh?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the one in the packet today is what anybody have any questions on that? No? Okay, we have payment of bills. We have prepaid run of March 16th. And any discussion on those? All right, and then we have the check run of March 23rd. Any discussion of those? Okay, so with that, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Support by Mr. Westerbarth. I'm sorry, motion by Mr. Westerbarth, support by Mr. Palmer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth,
Yes,
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes. Okay, motion carried. We're now into the subcommittee reports and project updates. We have Rick Freeman coming on first. Okay, so Rick, sorry. I unmuted you to begin with, didn't I? I think, or I thought, maybe not.
There we go.
All right, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. We'll quickly run through this report. Future water main phases, Phase A, Woodland Avenue, we're finalizing the funding for that. And that'll be under construction later this year, somewhere probably in the July to 1st of August timeframe. So that one will be moving forward. phases B, G, and the F41 portion of Phase H. We have those projects actually advertised right now. Bid opening is scheduled for April 8th at 3 p.m. at the township offices. And project funding for that will be closing on that in June, and construction will be authorized immediately upon closing. So depending on the contractor's schedule, ordering materials, that kind of goes in hand with Phase A and Woodland. Probably could be the late June, early July, somewhere in there startup. The remaining phases, C, D, E, F, and the remaining portion of Phase H, that will either be stretched out over the 4 remaining years of the DWRF application, 2022 through 2025, or if we're successful on the C2R2 grant application that we submitted, and we're hoping to hear on that any day now, we can move those up and schedule them appropriately. Just to, again, don't want to throw everything at it at once, but the more projects out there, the better prices we will be able to get. So we'll be hopefully seeing some result on that application here shortly. The sanitary sewer system improvements, the CWSRF, the one that the township, due to your disadvantaged community status, has received or will be receiving principal forgiveness. That project is also out for advertising. Same bid date, April 8th at 3 p.m. Township office. And again, upon closing on that in June, construction will be authorized immediately upon closing. That one might take a little bit more time to see any activity in the field, just because there is a lot of components to that project, controls, pumps, other materials that will have to be ordered by the contractor. And we're keeping an eye on it, but a lot of people might have already heard there seems to be a shortage of materials out there right now. So we're going to keep an eye on that to see exactly when things would start coming in, and we would actually start seeing physical work in the field on that. That project will be spread over the rest of 2021, 2022, with some final cleanup items maybe in early 2023. And again, like I said, depending on how quickly they can get some of the material ordered and delivered to the site. Other specific funding opportunities that we're continuing to pursue, the traditional stuff, looking at constantly MEDC, USDRD, Consumers Energy, and then also just recently, Congressman Kilday's office sent out a request for projects in various categories. So we're looking through those, and we'll be making a recommendation to the township shortly there as far as which categories and which projects to include in that information to his office. And then along with that, worked with Tammy Klein and Mitch a couple weeks ago on just tracking all of these grants and applications that we're putting out there. And we're working on putting together a comprehensive spreadsheet to track all of these with the application dates, hopefully the award date, and then date of implementation of the funds, which will help the township in the future as far as with their audits and tracking these down the line. So Old Orchard Campground, the public dock erosion project that was awarded at the end of February. We're finalizing the contract documents with John Henry, breaking it into those 2 phases that we had talked about. Once we have that done, we'll get that over to Mitch and the attorneys for their review and execution. John Henry is not sitting back necessarily waiting for that. He has already ordered, and I believe the steel sheet piling has been delivered to the site. A week or 2 ago, I was coordinating efforts with him and got him in touch with Gary and Al out at the park to get access so that steel sheet piling could be delivered. So with the weather changing like it is, that thing, we should start seeing some activity out there shortly. The Trail 3 or Phase 3 trail project, again, that one is moving along. That one we will have to start ratcheting up here a little bit shortly, probably early April, to get that project ready for MDOT's review in June, so that that project can be obligated and a construction schedule set for fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023. We are still pursuing a couple of funding opportunities to help with the remaining local share, along with getting that project all the way to the campground entrance. If for some reason those funding applications fall through, we will pursue getting the trail out for MDOT's review up to Foot Village as a intermediate termination point. So, but we're continuing on that, and those grant applications we should start hearing on, and those should start falling hopefully into place here shortly. Wordsmith base infrastructure utility evaluation project, attached to my normal report I sent over was the report that we shared with the airport authority for their meeting. Not sure when their meeting, I think it was the end of last week.
Yeah, it was
last week.
Mhm.
But that project's moving forward. We're getting information on all of the public utilities, obviously working with F&B operations and past studies. Also working closely with Iosco County Road Commission on the road system out there. They're going to be providing us their PASER ratings, the condition report on the primary and local roads out there, and then starting to put together the condition report along with recommendation for improvements, and then also same thing there. We'll be pursuing any and all grant opportunities and funding opportunities to get some of those projects prioritized. We'll also be coordinating with private utilities to make sure that their facilities, either in gas, electric, telecommunication, fiber, internet, are up to date and can be expanded upon depending on what developments come forth out there. Ratliff Park ADA ramp, that project plan and estimate and such is essentially wrapped up, as I mentioned at the first meeting this month, and then later tonight will be the resolution for the township to move forward with the passport application, which is due April 1st, which will go towards funding of that project. And we're obviously taking into consideration the Van Etten Lake Association's donation, our donation, and also labor provided by the township, which will more than sufficiently cover the 25% local match. So we're hoping that that grant application is successful. And that pretty much summarizes the projects that we've got going. Like I said, over the next couple of weeks, it'll be getting heating up a little bit with the bids coming in and starting to get those projects ready for construction this coming summer.
All right.
Any questions?
Where did you say the specific progress report for the
I sent it along with my engineering report to Mitch and Tam. It should be a just title project status update. Not sure if that was forwarded on to the board members or not.
It was in the packet. It's the last
Was it?
page.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the last page, Jeremy. Says project status update, project Oscoda Wordsmith Airport Industrial Park expansion study. That's what you're talking about, right, Rick?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
One thing that I did want to point out that is that I got chewed on the other day for referring to the old base or Wurtsmith base. It's not an Air Force base anymore. It hasn't been for 30 years. Let's stop calling it that. It's,
We all tried, everybody tries, I mean, that's why we called it the Wordsmith District.
Yeah,
You know, that.
yeah,
the
or the
sinuses
yeah.
trying to bring, you know, a little bit of, you know, respect to not a little bit, trying to respect everybody that lives out there, works out there, goes to church there, anything, you know, it's definitely a melting pot of things that are happening. So,
Yeah, just trying to get the terminology moving forward.
yeah, we'll just hit you over the head the next time you say it, Jeremy.
That's probably the only way I'm going to remember.
Just kidding. All right. Any other questions for Rick? On this anyways? No? Okay, then I think we're ready to go on to the EIC update. Todd, I saw is here. Let me find him now. Hey, Todd.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Jeremy, if I can brainwash you, I'll have you refer to that as the flight district.
It's the flight district now. Are we going to call it the Wurtsmith Flight District, or?
I was just going to coin it flight district, but you know, whatever takes hold, I guess.
As long as it's not base.
Exactly. All right. Well, hey, good evening, everybody. My update's pretty streamlined and shall be brief. You have in front of you the dashboard updates I generally provide in the categories of Play Sleep, the Play Sleep Downtown, and the RRC. We keep chipping away at the overall Play Sleep things, and the hot buttons there are getting ready for an RFP that I think we could release for Skeel Avenue once we have our real estate process language nailed down. And my goal, after being charged with developing this for the board, is to have that to you April 12th. For your consideration, and assuming it gets approved, then I would love to be ready to formally go out to, you know, for an RFP process to a few of the developers that are interested in that Skeel Avenue project or opportunity. I continually chip away at the 2021 BRNE, and just for refresher's sake, we're doing that in conjunction with the MEDC's business development manager, Jesse Mitchell, as well as the workforce and training folks out of Tawas. So trying to provide a little more coordinated approach to that so that our companies aren't getting hit up by multiple people when we can just do it in one meeting. Couple of notes there, you know, every week I'm getting calls from investors or developers just interested in, you know, what's available, what could be available, what's the state of affairs here in Oscoda. So that's a very active bucket for us. I'm happy to report. Down in the downtown space here, we have some money budgeted for both either, you know, what we could call a vibrancy grant or a facade grant program here in 2021, but also a mural or some sort of an art project. And I think on the 12th, I'll also be coming to the board and requesting permission to spend some money for a mural program that the art committee has been working on. So we're making some progress there. We've got an MDOT meeting in the works. We've had a video conference with them about, let's say a month ago. We're planning to have the new TSC regional director here in town in the coming weeks to just chat about the potential for an archway project over 23 and evaluate some crosswalk, walkability issues or concerns, opportunities to upgrade here in town. So he's newer to the position, so it's really good for both parties to sit down and have a meet and greet and get to know you. And then the last piece of this puzzle here is the RRC. Ryan sent out a request for all the department heads to get on a call later in the week to discuss the review fee schedule. Not in terms of reestablishing any fees, but just so that we can collect them all on one page. That is the last thing we really need to provide to the MEDC in terms of submitting everything for our RRC. After that, we'll be then in what they call sort of a review and audit phase. So we are so close to RRC, even I can start to smell it. Last on my list, we should be having an annual meeting of the boards. That's another RRC hot button for us. Annual meeting of all of our boards on March 30th. So I believe that is next Tuesday, 6 o'clock, and I believe that will be a Zoom meeting. And I think that's really the highlights. No lack of things to do on my end, but I don't like to make these overly windy in the interest of time management for you folks. So as always, I'll entertain questions.
I just had a quick one. So we've narrowed down that March 30th, you said March 30th, which is a Tuesday. Okay, we better get an email out pretty quick on that. I don't remember seeing anything, but maybe I did. I thought we were like April 1st or something, but
because of the rules, regulations of what can be in person, what can't be, what's Zoom, what can't.
Yeah, it's a mess.
30th, and honestly, I thought we were going to have something on the agenda tonight for you guys to maybe more formally bless that, but I'm not in control of your agenda, so I can't speak to that.
Okay, well, I think we kind of have to do something formal, don't we, Mitch?
It's on the agenda under other.
Under other? I was gonna say, I thought we had it. Yeah.
Number
Yeah,
5.
way to mess me up there, Todd. I thought we had it. Okay.
Way to go, Mitch.
Way to go, Mitch. Way to get it on there. So March, but we're talking about March 30th, right? And it's going to be Zoom.
Yep.
And when we say everybody, that's the planning commission. I mean, that's
Everyone.
everyone. Okay. Any
Yep.
board or committee or commission.
Review, ZBA, Planning Commission, EIC, Township Board.
And is there a requirement that so much percentage have to be in attendance to check that box, quote unquote, for RRC?
I don't think we have to have individual, oh shoot, the term is very easy.
Quorums?
There
No.
you go. I don't think we have quorums for each board. I think we just need participation.
Okay, all right. All right. Anybody have any questions for Todd? I guess I just had another, I had it and now I forgot what it was. Oh, when you were going over the items, you had indicated a couple things for the April 12th meeting.
Yeah.
One was the Skeel properties. Were you indicating that you were going to have an RFP ready for that time, or like the list of the properties that the township was gonna, like the protocol, I guess, how we were gonna handle?
I am anticipating being able to put the real estate, the process by which we dispose of property. I hope to have that language in front of the township board on April 12th for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, we like this process. We like the language. This lays everything out for everybody.
Okay.
At that time, again, assuming the board blesses that procedural document, I would love to also be in a position where we are sending out an RFP for interested developers on the Skeel Avenue property. I won't be able to get to all of the township owned properties, mapping them out, putting them in front of the board until probably into April, just because of Nancy's board of review process that she's been in, the new GIS system. It's just, even if I would have started this a month ago, it wouldn't have gotten any faster than starting it April 1, let's say.
Right.
Process.
Yep.
So
yeah, she's got a special assessment district around Vila to do. She's a busy girl. So
yeah, absolutely. So I just don't see being able to put a holistic list in front of the board on everything we own and what do you want to classify them until in maybe the second meeting in April.
okay, I just wanted to make sure I knew, understood. Okay.
But I already have interested developers wanting to know, like, hey, what's going on with that property? Can I put an offer in? What's the
right?
process? So
So we need our disposal process.
Yeah, I don't see there's a reason why we wouldn't be in a position where we can move forward with that RFP, at least on that property.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for Todd?
Way to drive it forward.
And
Thank
I had asked a question about the website. I think it's still like a month or so away. Ryan had said.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment. Ryan and Tammy are in full control of that with Jeremy's oversight. I have so many other
Tammy,
great,
yeah.
wonderful things I've been doing that I haven't been as intimate with that as other things.
Okay.
I believe we, if you, a quick update, we have a meeting scheduled next week. I think it's either the 30th or the 31st, and Ryan and Tammy have been working with Revise. I've gone through and asked a bunch of, ridiculously technical questions that nobody really cares about, but that I want to make sure set up on the back end correctly and all that fun stuff. So
Okay.
just slowly working through it and making sure that all the modules that we as a board would like to see on our website to ensure that the citizens have the ability to apply for positions and see all the messages and community calendars for the areas that we need, et cetera, so on and so forth. And a new thing that we saw, and I'm pretty sure it's included, is there's a minutes module that may help Josh in the recording of our proceedings, as well as other boards and sub boards. It might. We're going to have to sit down and look at it. I'm not saying we're going to use it, but definitely going to look at it and see if it's going to save us some time and effort for our secretaries to make sure that they have a quick clickety click instead of a long drawn out, set the whole document up and make sure there's, all the wonderful things for the agenda additions, et cetera. So.
Okay, thank you.
Gotcha.
All right, any other questions before we move on to Tim's update? All right,
All right. It's a pleasure to serve.
thanks, Todd. Hang around if you want.
I will.
Okay. All right, so with
Right,
that, you're
hi,
on,
Ann.
Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Ann. So I'm going to ask if you could possibly open up a browser so that we can show the public what we need them to direct at. So if you could just open up Chrome, maybe you've got down there on the bottom left.
Oh, you want me to just go like,
the township website?
I was gonna say, do you want me to just open up the township website? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
sure, I can do that if I can find my arrow.
So while she's bringing up the website, what's being asked for here by the Air Force is public comment on proposed cleanup at the former Wurtsmith Air Force Base. And the 3 pages that you see in very small, almost icons there, are accessed through the gold link above that says click here for more details. You can go ahead and click that real quick, Ann, please. And then you'll find that the first page is ultimately the public, the public announcement here. And effectively what the Air Force is doing is they've opened up a public comment period that started on, I think it was the 18th of March, and it's going to end on the 17th of April. Yeah, right there in the middle of that page. And so they're looking for comment. Now here, they provide you an address that you could send information, send your comments and that. But on the very next page, they're also going to tell you that there will be a public meeting. And that meeting is scheduled for 5 p.m. on March 24th, which is 2 days from now. And it will be virtual. And so people can actually get more information about this proposed cleanup method, and I'm sure have some limited opportunity to propose their comment. But this would actually this gives you an opportunity to study up on what is the topic, and then go to the meeting, and then you have a few weeks to respond after that. So I just wanted everyone in the township and in the surrounding area to be clear on what this is and to know how you can provide that information and what timeframes were for it. That's it. Thank you very much.
Wow, I actually did that too. Amazing.
We
I
knew
can
you
walk
could
through
do it.
the, huh?
We knew you could do it.
Yeah, like it's meetings to be able to do it. Yeah, sure, why not? Okay.
Thank you, Ed.
Tim. Yep, all right. Share this again. Okay, thanks for the update, and let me just share the screen. Okay, can you, oh no, I didn't hit the share button. All right, so let me find my mouse. All right, so you can see the agenda again, everybody can?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, so we are on to the nuts and bolts of the meeting, superintendent's report. First on is the Alcona Health Center tap fees revisited.
Okay, let me just walk this through real quick. Back in September, be about September 30th of 2019, Roe did an initial site plan review and recommendations regarding this facility. And the recommendations, I don't want to start getting us confused. So the recommendations at that time were for the different tap fees were $9,826. In late June of 2020, a revised site plan was submitted and received by Roe, adding a 6-inch fire suppression water line. And the review of that, and Roe provided revised recommendations to the township in August of 2020, which changed that figure due to the township to $48,000, $48,600. Now fast forward to this month, we have reviewed these past calculations, and again, we found errors in them. And after revising the proposed site plan back in June of 2020 and the review interpretation of the definitions of indirect and direct connections to the township water and sewer ordinance, it's 2011-241. The following revisions of the amount due has changed a third time. And so the revised amount due to the township is $17,413. Now, if you take that 48,600, you minus the 17,413, that would mean that the amount of the return of the tap fees based on this newest calculation would be $31,187 needs to be returned to the applicant, the property owner. And so what we are asking the board to do this evening is to approve said refund so that we can proceed and the owner can proceed accordingly, and we can close out our audit, which we've already booked this for accordingly.
Have we started looking at the process that that's causing these ridiculously large overbills? It would seem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
My opinion, Jeremy, is twofold. One, I think there's a lot of confusion about indirect and direct, and then the way that the chart is presented in the ordinance itself, and it's split into across a couple of different pages. I could easily see where people were jumping back and forth between the charts and looking at different figures. I think what will help is to modify that so that all of those charts are on one page together and redefining or clarifying what does direct and indirect mean. And what I would do if I'm saying if I have total charge of this and I don't need the board to tell me, I would provide examples for people to read directly below that chart so that they could go, oh, yeah, I kind of fit in that category. that's how that's going to play out. Or, oh, no, I fit in this category. That's how this is going to play out. It is a difficult thing to have because honestly, in most instances, you do not find communities with direct and indirect connection charges. And part of that is just due to the way that the water system sewer were developed here, and not in a strictly municipal manner, but there's some that are private, some that are public, some that were private that became public. And so when you get all of that kind of thrown together, you easily can be drawn off course as to what amount do you actually owe and what category do things actually fit in.
Right, and there's nothing in the ordinance either that really talks, which I've talked to, Doug has brought up to me a couple times. There's nothing that really even talks about, there's the tap fee, but there's nothing about the additional costs that are going to be involved as well. If there's meter pits, if there's other things, and we should have language that indicates that there will be additional charges. And then, Doug has put together a price list of what those charges are. So then when we have the review by row and, and they indicate, because after a certain size, it goes, for our engineer, we have to review it. But then, then we can put some numbers to it a little bit easier. And actually we pulled the Township's got a really nice chart that I would like to do something similar to. Sorry, I have too many folders here, but it talks about if you're bringing in a backhoe. I mean, it just has everything spelled out. It's their fee schedule, and they did it by resolution. But it has just everything at a glance, which I think would be very helpful. So, but
Is that something we're working towards?
That's something we will be working towards. Yes.
Awesome.
And, in all fairness to, I mean, that part of the deal is that the chart was just being read, I mean, we were dropping down for when there's a water connection of 1.5 inches, you're supposed to go straight across and pick what the sewer connection one would be. It doesn't matter what size the pipe is per se. It goes by the, the water connection, but we were dropping down and picking up what the sewer size was. And that's where we had the one error. Correct, Rick?
That's correct. And then the other missing component is there's nothing in there for a fire suppression line.
Right.
So we were kind of caught between, a 6-inch potable water connection was the high number that we provided. Just like I said, because there was nothing in there for any type of fire suppression connection, which obviously isn't going to pull the water or whatever like a metered service would be. So there's a few loopholes like that exist that made it difficult. And we had several conversations at the time back and forth between Doug and myself, Mr. Schaefer at the time, to try to come up with what was the reasonable charge to put forth.
So we're gonna add a little bit to the documentation, including the additional fees that may be present.
That is correct.
We're going to change the chart so that it's a little bit more intuitive, a little easier to read, maybe all on one page. And then are we going to put something in there about timeframes for installation? If somebody comes in and pays for their tap fees and all the fees that they've incurred to install a water line, are we going to include in that documentation or that verbiage that dictates how we're going to proceed some kind of time frame that would be presented to the customer to say, hey, you're paying for your water tap, we should have it done by this time based on these conditions?
I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's something that can go in the ordinance per se. Because if you're filling something out and you're in the dead of winter and it's not an emergency to connect there, for the most part, we don't send our equipment out to do that because you jeopardize.
For sure. That would be the area that falls under these conditions. Well, obviously we're not going to go out in January and dig a hole through the frozen sand unless it's an emergency. But, it's been brought to my attention that, some water main issues have, or some water connections were, some people are getting their install date when they pay their money and some are not. And some are
Right.
waiting a little bit longer than really should be. We're talking, they're waiting for a year to get water hooked up, and that just doesn't seem right to me. And I don't, I'd like to make sure that if we're going to be redrafting some of these things, that we include some verbiage on, let's put a time frame on this so that we can get things, we can start moving things forward, and people that need those time frames to plan accordingly, the rest of the logistics for their project can utilize that time frame for that purpose.
Well, I mean, it could be just an internal process too, where when the invoice is paid, it is then acknowledged, because there's obviously this is all has to be like site plan approved. So then that could go back to the planning commission, to the planning director, to Eric. And then, then Eric would maybe then indicate, I don't know, we'll have to walk that through. I shouldn't speculate on Zoom on how that's going to go, but I mean,
No, that's fine.
once it's
Oh, it's
paid
just
for,
a-
then yes, you would then, somebody would then, that never. Okay.
I agree. We just need to update the process first. We
Yeah,
need
I
to
think
fix
just
Yeah.
the process in regard to how things happen, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's always two sides to every story, and there's always, sometimes communication, we're just not doing the best job communicating. I mean, I don't mean F and V, I mean internally, everything, just making sure that there's the expectations are met on both sides. And if somebody thinks that a month is too long or whatever is too long, then they get back to us and let us know, hey, I think that was too long of a process. I want it I want it to be quicker,
Sure. And
so-
maybe we can put some expedite fees on there, but just
Right.
saying that, when it goes back to these people that, to set it to say that, well, we'd like an answer within this time frame. Not
Right.
saying, just
Yep.
one way or the other so that we can plan accordingly. If we're missing documentation, we don't want to wait 9 months to find out that I forgot to dot the I.
Right. And I, actually Doug Moen is on the call and he has asked to comment, if the board doesn't have a problem. Do you mind if I unmute him so he can comment here?
I'm good with that.
Okay, Doug, you
Good
should be on.
evening, everybody.
Thanks, Doug.
Hello?
Yep, you're on.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not aware of anybody being 9 months that there was not an install. And I think it's pertaining, if I'm not mistaken, to Georgia and Perimeter, a 2-inch meter pit. I have a whole bunch of documents right here in front of me. I don't want to go over now, but that meter pit was actually already installed before the building was up. There is another one 2-inch meter pit going off of Perimeter for the same buildings for the complex. And that one was actually paid by, it was December 22nd of last year. I ordered the pit January 14th, and it didn't come in until February 15th. And it is scheduled to be in. Mr. Mariani, we've been in contact when the install date was going to happen, and there was never a problem. And as far as the other one that I'm aware of F41 property right by the railroad tracks, I think it's Galton's property.
Mhm.
That one meter pit, and that was paid. Let's see here.
It was late in the fall.
Yeah, second meter pit. I had all this and I thought I was gonna be in a meeting earlier today to discuss all this, so it didn't have to be online, but that didn't happen. But,
Well, I'm not here. I mean, one of the things that the board has been talking about is we've been looking over, quite a few different policies and revamping the way that that the processes work at the township to make them smoother for the employees as well as the citizens. So I'm not here today to start a fight or pick a battle here about any specific instance where there may or may not have been too much time taken to do a water pit. There have been concerns raised, and as a whole, moving forward, the board is just looking at some of the policies and the procedures, and to ensure that we have an efficient method of making sure that these things move forward in a timely fashion. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be problems that may hold up those procedures. I mean, you're saying that the meter pits take a little bit longer to ship and receive. I appreciate that. I'm sure that the customers do as well. I mean, nobody's pointing fingers. We're just looking to streamline the process moving forward. And so that's
well, I totally agree with that as much as possible. There hasn't been a problem in the past, and myself was not included with any phone calls and whatnot. And I guess there's a deadline. I had no clue there's a deadline. The water department at utility billing was not notified. So it just seems like we're out of the loop to a degree, and we should be the first point of contact with the citizens or developers as far as scheduling, or there's something that they needed. And I was not aware of that. Understanding there's still a railroad easement on the grow facilities property, because that easement, we're going to have to get into the railroad easement to actually install the meter pit. And I don't know if they secured anything for that, and contacted the railroad. So that might be another hiccup too.
Oh, I'm sure that they're going to exist. I mean, there's really no way around it. And when you're doing any project, there's going to be a roadblock that was unforeseen. So, I would like to say that, we appreciate you and you working towards the same goals that we are, as well as the citizens. And I'd like to thank you for coming in and talking to us about that today. So you
Okay.
betcha.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And while you're on the horn, just one last thing is they said the water was holding up their state inspection. And from my understanding, the sanitary has not been run and tapped into the sewer main. And so even if the water in the meter pit and everything was hooked up, we still would not be able to turn it on because there's no sanitary system that is hooked to the main.
Okay.
I'd just like to make a few comments. I've got a little different understanding, and I did review these with Mitch today and in an email, and Mitch was going to do the investigation and get back to us. So in relationship, though, Doug, to the payment in the Georgia and Perimeter Road property, they actually overpaid and we had to reimburse them. So if we were holding things up because we were trading checks, that's just a process issue that needs to get fixed in the township.
Yep.
It just seems to be that there's some communication issues here, and I've only gotten one side of the story so far. But I definitely need Mitch to do the entire investigation, because he sat down with the property owners at Bay, and I've asked him to do the investigation within the township and get back to us. But there's definitely a process issue here.
Yeah.
Not anybody to blame, but we've got poor process and it needs to be addressed.
Well, ultimately, I do feel responsible because once it gets paid, I order the stuff. I'm not in charge of the payment, but I do order the stuff and I schedule the stuff. And I do the best I can working with contractors and homeowners and developers to get what they need in the time they need it in. And this is the first issue that I've actually, that's came up with that, and I wasn't even aware of it. So that would be great if you could, hash that out and, make a smoother process going forward.
That's what we're attempting to do for everyone concerned and
Right.
involved. So, Mitch, you need a motion for the
We're,
tap.
we're so far off topic now that we're.
Yeah, that's why
Right.
I'm trying to circle us back
So-
around. So
Sorry.
I'd,
I need a motion to refund in the amount of 31,187.
no change.
Yes.
I make a motion to refund the Alcona Health Center tap fees in the amount of $31,187.
Support.
Okay, there is a motion by Mr. Westerbarth. Or I'm sorry, a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Westerbarth. Did you get that amount, Josh?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Ms. Richards.
Yes, motion carried. Okay,
I'd just like to add, Mitch and Rick, thank you for the summary because it made sense for what you sent out today.
I don't know if I would say that. Let
It
me
was a
just
lot
say
better
this.
than last Friday.
Well, sure, but I would say this, if the township itself has problems figuring it out, we honestly can't say that the public would be easily to figure it out either. And if we can't figure it out easily, I have real issues whether or not they could. So I'm not saying they couldn't, but I'm thinking if we have problems, I'm sure others would have similar. So we need to make serious changes to that so that it doesn't happen again.
we'll get it. Okay, moving on, fire truck bid response.
All right, what we have, the department received one bid from Zubik Motors in the amount of $74,100 for the purchase of the two trucks. I would recommend the board make a motion to accept the bid from Zubik Motors for the purchase of the two vehicles for the fire department in the amount of $74,100 and authorize the superintendent to execute the bid proposal on behalf of the township.
Is there any discussion or questions? Or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of two pickup trucks for the Oscoda Fire Department from Zubek Motors in the amount of $74,100 and for the superintendent to execute all needed documents.
Okay, is there support?
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Spencer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wurstabarth,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Ms. Richards.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next on is the Ferguson meter pit, or I'm sorry, Ferguson meter purchase request. Sorry.
Thank you. In the package, a proposal to purchase meters and component parts for our water and sewer system. The amount of quote is $11,705.08. I recommend the board make a motion to purchase said materials from Ferguson Waterworks in the amount of $11,735.08.
All right, is there any discussion or questions before?
I think we talked about this in the work session, didn't we? They have some parts on hand, but they can't keep everything.
Right,
And these are for replacement of meters.
replacement. Mhm.
All right. I would move that we go ahead with the purchase of the of $11,735.08 for the meters and component parts for our water sewer system from Ferguson Meter.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion. There's a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Wurstabarth,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Ms. Richards.
Yes, motion carried. Next on is the Old Orchard Park furnace and hot water heater installation.
Okay, we secured a number of quotes, 4 quotes for the purpose of installing the furnaces and hot water heaters by a licensed HVAC person. plumbing person, and is recommendation that the board make a motion to accept the bid from Huron Shores Plumbing and Heating Incorporated in the amount of $4,100 and authorize the superintendent to execute the bid on behalf of the township.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll move to go ahead and take the bid from Huron Shores Plumbing and Heating, Inc. in the amount of $4,100 to install the furnace and water heaters at the Oscoda or at the Old Orchard Park, and authorize the superintendent to execute the documents and on behalf of the township.
Support.
Okay. There is a motion by Mr. Spencer and support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Wishbarth,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. Next on is DPW resignation and hire.
What I'm asking is that the board make a motion to concur with my acceptance of Keith Furrow's resignation and to have Timothy Justice move from part-time to full-time for the Department of Public Works.
Is that one motion or two?
It could be,
Two.
it can be two, would be proper.
Yeah.
I'll move that we accept Mr. Furrow's resignation.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings in regard to the resignation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Wishbarth,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. Next, is there any discussion or a motion in regard to the hiring of Tim Justice? Or moving of Tim Justice from part-time to full-time?
Not hearing any discussion, I move to accept Mr. Justice's promotion from part-time to full-time for the Department of Public Works.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Westergaard in regard to the hiring component. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Wishbarth,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. Right. And welcome, welcome aboard officially to full-time.
I will notify him still this evening, so.
Hmm?
I said I will notify him still this evening.
All right. Okay, next on is, we're moving on to resolutions and ordinances. The first one is resolution number 2021-05, master plan adoption. We had delayed that process till this meeting because we didn't have the master plan included. Had everybody have the time to review that? I gave Eric just one point earlier. They had two previous planning commission members from 2020 that had, left in 2020. One had an incorrect spelling. So I did give that correction to Eric earlier today. So Mr. Taser's name was spelled with a Z. So. Other than that, any other, are we good to pass resolution? Discussion?
I would make a motion to approve resolution 2021-05 as it relates to the amended and restated community master plan.
Okay, is there support? All right. So there was a motion by Mr. Palmer, a support by Mr. Cummings, I believe. Is that correct?
That's
Tim?
right.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Wishtabarth,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. Next on is resolution 2021-08 for the recreation passport application. Mitch?
Trying to
Anything
get
more to-
to it, sorry. A lot of master plan here.
Yeah,
It's a long one.
Yeah, just a moment, sorry. Trying to get to it. Okay. What this resolution does is it's the township supporting the submission of an MDNR recreation transport grant. This would be for site improvements at Ratliff Park for proposed kayak launch and boardwalk. It's part of our 5-year approved Parks and Rec plan. The estimated cost for the project is $130,000. We would be pledging support through in-kind donations, matching funds, or a force account in the amount of $32,500. In our discussions to this point, we do not anticipate having to actually put out a cash outlay of $32,500 because of the various in-kind donations and work that we would do that would count towards that match on our part. So where and you can see in the resolution that the Van Ayton Lake Association has made a financial commitment of $4,000 in project for the matching funds. So this would be to apply to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources for the remainder of that project, and again with the project total being $130,000. So we would ask that you would pass this so that we can apply for this passport grant.
is there any discussion? Questions?
So this is just straight up for the, this is just a grant application.
That
to
is
get-
correct.
And this is for the, is this the ADA kayak launch?
Yes.
Oh, I moved that we pass the resolution 2021-08 to apply for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Grant. And the amount would be $32,500.
No, we would apply for the maximum, which is it'd be 75% of that $130,000 figure.
I amend my motion for the total cost or the total application for 75% of $130,000.
Okay, is there support?
Support.
Right, there's a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Wishtabarth,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. Next on is resolution 2021-09. This is,
Madam Chairman, can I
Oh.
ask one quick question before we leave this
you sure can?
topic? I just it just occurred to me, I want to make sure that Mitch received my email. The fellow that's working on that grant application was requesting some information for Oscoda
Oh, that
password.
login? Yeah.
Yeah, login.
Yeah. And
Did
we
you received that?
yes, and we have responded accordingly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. It just popped into my head. I wanted to make sure that I made sure that you received that so he could get that information. All right, thank you.
Okay, so next on is resolution 2021-09, which is the second resolution regarding the weed control. This is basically this passing of this resolution would set the second public hearing necessary. The second public hearing necessary is necessary to determine that this assessment is both fair and reasonable to accomplish. That is going to be set for April 26th. That gives us enough time to send out the notice for Nancy to finish running the proposed roll and send out all letters to those affected, as well as the 2 postings in the newspaper prior to that public hearing. So that's why the April 26th date. So if the board is inclined to move forward with the special assessment district, we need to pass that resolution setting forth that next public hearing. Any questions or further discussion? Okay, is there a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2021-09 regarding weed control on Van Etten Lake.
Support.
Support.
I think, was that, did you get, Mr. Palmer, did you get that for support? I think
I
think you said it
did.
first. Okay, so the motion is made by Mr. Spencer, supported by Mr. Palmer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Wusterbarth,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Ms. Richards.
Yes, motion carried. Next on is ordinance, and I think you have the number now, maybe Mitch, 2021.
Yes, it is 2021-269.
All right, I'll let you explain it.
Well, what we have is the convergence of meeting state guidelines and also trying to meet the Open Meetings Act. And by the convergence of those 2 items, I cannot, at this time, I cannot have a structure that if a meeting has 25 participants by state guidelines, and I receive at the meeting participant 26, then I'm violating the Open Meetings Act if we were to turn that person away. So what this ordinance attempts to do, and again, this is I hate to say, this is like a moving target. So we are trying to act as the state does its thing, and we try to continue to do ours. It would allow for a hybrid approach to allow us to continue to have Zoom meeting portions for the public so that we can guarantee that people can actually participate in the meeting. Just for your own sake, if you look right now, there are 44 participants at this moment in this meeting alone. That's a lot more than 25 participants, okay? And so what we're trying to do is balance this as best we can. And so what we're also trying to do is start the process of kind of reintegrating the board meeting face-to-face as well. So what this will do is will allow for the board to meet in person and then simultaneously also have by virtual means a meeting being broadcast and people being able to participate through electronic means. And then again, while not trying to exceed that 25 person number. So this applies to things, not just the Board of Trustees, but this applies to the Planning Commission. This applies to the EIC, our boards and commissions, that group could meet together and still have virtual attendees see and hear the proceedings, and when applicable, both be seen and heard, and then they can participate in those meetings and be a part of those meetings instead of us saying, well, I'm sorry, but we reached our 25 participant limit. I'm sorry, you can't participate. So that's what this ordinance attempts to do. I think Alan Curtis is on this call.
Yes.
On this meeting. I don't know if he wishes to comment about this as well. And what this would do is it would go into effect immediately upon publication. It would remain in effect through the end of the year. And obviously it could be amended from time to time if we find that, you know, it may be necessary to comply with other OMA, Open Meetings Act, or other applicable state statutes or regulations. So I don't know if, Ann, if you, oh, I see.
I did.
Muted, so.
I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Alan?
I don't have a whole lot to add. I don't know if anybody has any questions about it, but like Mitch said, it's just dealing with the state rules and trying to still work with the OMA, and it seems to be the cleanest way to make that work.
Wouldn't it be true that if we pass the ordinance for the emergency, that we could just continue to do our electronic meetings the way we have been doing them? They don't necessarily have to be a hybrid, do they?
I guess you probably don't have to have it be a hybrid, but I think the idea was to try to get the board back together. If we can have 25 people in a room together, limiting that to the board so that the board can, you know, and I think the language is in there. So, you know, when the engineer has a presentation, you know, they can be there if it's easier to do things like that. But it's really, the main thing is to make sure that the public has the ability to see and to be heard, and making sure that we don't run into an issue with the public being prevented. You probably could work it such that everybody remains virtual, but I think the idea was to move with getting the board together.
Well, if we meet in person, everyone that's in that meeting has to be masked. Isn't that correct?
That is correct, and we'll have to keep a 6-foot radius.
And we tried that once in the previous board, and it's very difficult to hear and understand what people are saying when masks are being worn. The other problem with trying to do that virtually with all of the boards is that in order to do this, we have to have MIC TV come in to kind of, you know, record, televise the meeting and do those kinds of things for a hybrid meeting. And we opted quite a long time ago not to incur the fees for televising planning commission meetings. So I just don't see the point of carrying that through to all the other committees and meetings for planning commission and the other various organizations. They've been operating quite well with just, you know, the standard Zoom meetings. And quite frankly, I think our board meetings, even though, you know, I know we would all like to get back to the, you know, meeting in person, but I can tell you that trying to do a meeting like that where we're in person, everybody has on masks. Part of the statute says that the audience, the public has to be able to tell who's speaking. That can become difficult when, you know, people are wearing masks and you can't, they can't determine who's saying what. They can't register the vote because, you know, the clerk calls on the individuals. But you know, I said on Friday, I'm as anxious as anybody to get back to, you know, the public meetings and in person. I just think, you know, Ann's been doing a good job in improving every meeting.
It was kind of a low bar, but yeah, yeah.
And running these Zoom meetings, and I think, like Mitch indicated earlier, we've got a lot of people online, you know, listening into the meeting, and they're able to raise comments at the end, and it seems to be working the way it is. And my understanding is that if we pass the ordinance for the state of emergency, then basically we just continue to do what we're doing until the state changes the mandates in terms of how many people can be in attendance, and then at that time, we can, we can drop the emergency ordinance and go back to our regular public meetings. I just think trying to do a hybrid meeting is going to be it's not going to work out as well as what we've had here in the past so far. I'm willing to try it if you want to try it, but we attempted that once before with the previous board, and it was a nightmare.
Well, on the bonus side, since it has been tried before and all the parties involved are still around, it would probably be a little bit better. I know that MIC TV has got some ideas on how they can make it awesome, but I don't actually see the ordinance. Am I missing it? Is it not? Is it in the board packet anywhere? I don't actually see it.
It was emailed last Friday afternoon. I'm assuming then it was in the packet. I don't know that for sure.
Was it provided to the public?
I don't see it in the board packet. That doesn't mean that it's not in there, but I haven't seen it yet. And with Mr. Palmer's concerns, I say I'd like to move to postpone this until our next regularly scheduled board meeting.
We can't.
So
And it needs to.
no, we cannot. It's a timely issue, huh?
Yeah.
March 30th. Mhm.
Can we just leave it the same as we're meeting by Zoom every?
We have to do something, I think, because doesn't the state's deal expire by the end of the month?
That is correct.
Yeah, but that actually.
Well, I guess if we have to err, I would rather err on the side of who knows instead of violating the Open Meetings Act or something to that effect, like Mitch was talking about. So,
Well,
sounds like they've got us
the
between a rock and a
resolution
hard
was
place.
that the resolution wasn't included in the board pack for this meeting is probably going to trump that point. I mean, it doesn't look like we presented it.
And if the public can't see it,
Tim's right. We'll have to call a special meeting after it's posted.
That's fine. We'll do that later this week then. And I guess in that meantime, maybe between now and that point, then that'll allow our legal counsel to answer your question about complete virtual meetings continuing.
I'd like to know that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely figure that out. And then it wouldn't be too hard, I think, to present almost two ordinances, the hybrid as drafted, and then the version that allows for, if we can, complete virtual. So yeah, we'll get that sorted out.
Yeah, the notice I had from MTA in their chart, it said from March 31st, 2021 through December 31st of 2021, declaration of state or local state of emergency. A declaration of state of emergency could allow all persons, including public, to participate electronically. Nothing about having to be a hybrid or anything, that all persons, including public, can participate electronically, which is what we've been doing all along.
and that's dated until December 31st of this year, 2021.
Starting March 31st of 2021 through December 31st of 2021. Yes.
Well,
We don't need to go, if we don't need to go that long, we don't have to, but it allows you to do that.
On a positive,
according to MTA anyway.
right. On a positive side note, there are quite a few participants that are being, it's nice to see the citizens come out, and if we can, meet virtually and it gives them the ability to come out and talk to us, well, then I kind of like that.
Well, I am hot already without a mask, so I can't even imagine, as Bill indicated, us all sitting in a room and trying to have a conversation, us all wearing masks.
Right,
for 2 hours,
coughing on each
so-
other, and
Yeah, so I mean, well, I'm not worried about the coughing. It's more just talking with a mask on for 2 straight hours and trying to hear each other. So
yeah, and you wouldn't be able. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to. I think
I guess I was thinking if we were all like 6 feet, huh?
I'm leaning towards Bill's side here.
Keep you compliant. So.
Right. Well, if we were, if we were 6 feet apart and we didn't have to wear masks, then I would, if we were 6 feet apart without, but if we have to wear masks and be 6 feet apart, I just think it's gonna be hard to communicate without like literally yelling. So,
I can do that.
but, okay, well, we're gonna table this anyways, correct? Is that what I heard? Or not, what's the
Postpone.
proper, postpone, yeah.
And we're going to postpone it. Are we postponing until our next regular meeting, or are we going to
No,
postpone it
can't.
until the special meeting that
No.
we're about to schedule?
Let's have a special meeting.
Let's
So
schedule a
does-
special meeting.
So does my motion need to include the date and time of the special meeting?
Well, let's, I think we should ask our legal counsel, how fast can you produce a document or the research stuff? If we were to set it for, say, Thursday or Friday, is that enough time?
Is Mr. Voda on today?
Alan is.
Yeah, we should be able to get that sorted out by Thursday or Friday. Friday would be a little better, but yeah, I think we get it figured out.
So should I include in my motion a meeting, say Friday at 5 o'clock or 4:30, so that we
let's
have
have-
time to sneak out and.
If you don't mind, Jeremy, could we
Mhm.
discuss the time and date first before you make a motion?
Absolutely. That's why I'm kind of holding my motion off.
So, yeah, so Friday afternoon from 1 till 4 is good for me. And if we had to do somewhere between 4 and 5 as well, I might be able to juggle the schedule, but 1 to 4 would be ideal for me.
We can get it done by Thursday if that helps everybody's schedule.
Well, for me, I'm out of state, West Coast. Wednesday through Friday. I just need to know what time would work for everyone to see if I can break away.
Okay.
I have my schedule in front of me.
Mhm.
I can do any time on Thursday or Friday, so.
Friday would be better for me, and I can make it work between 1 and 4.
Let's say 1 o'clock.
Friday at 3?
Huh? Well, let's do it early. Yeah, let's just get it done at 1.
There you go.
If it's at 1 on Friday, 10 a.m., I can make that work on Friday.
Great.
So March 26th.
Somebody was speaking, we talked over him. Who is it? Was that, who commented? Was that you, Mitch?
Yeah, I would
couldn't tell.
anticipate it probably won't take more than a half hour.
Right.
Oh, very good, thank you.
All right, so I will start my motion over. I move that we postpone this agenda item, the 2021-269 ordinance until March 26th at 1 p.m.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. And we're postponing resolution 2021-269. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Wurstabarth,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes,
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next on then is the Venetton Lake Manager 1-year contract extension. We've talked about this a couple times. The previous lake manager, Lake Pro, had a contract that expired in 2021. We're wanting to just, 2020, wanting to do a 1-year extension. What that document was prepared by our attorney and was emailed out this afternoon. Was that then added to the packet online at all, Mitch, or no?
Boy, I'm not certain.
Okay, well, either way, we were talking that we didn't know if we'd have the contract in time for this evening, but looking for authorization to move forward with an extension at the same rate, which was $8,000 a year.
Does this contract allow for an extension, right, for that 1-year extension? Because it looks like there's been previous years on here, and it looks like we've extended it already.
The attorney reviewed the existing contract and drafted one that's applicable. So yes, we can do a new contract. So I
So
guess you
we're
wouldn't
doing
really call it an extension, but
So we're gonna
The
do a
new
new
contract.
contract.
Yes, it's a new contract. I'm sorry.
Okay. So the contract that's in the board packet is the old one,
Yes, that is the old packet.
and is the new contract listed? I don't see it in here.
It was sent out
It
in
is.
an email.
It was sent out, the actual contract itself was sent out in an email. So it is not included in the packet online. But
Is
you
that-
can give authorization to have the supervisor and clerk sign the document when prepared by the attorney that would do a 1-year contract extension.
At the current rate of $8,000 a year.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve extending the contract with Lake Pro Incorporated for 1 year at the current rate of $8,000 per year, and to authorize the clerk and supervisor execute all required documents.
Did you say extend or go with the new contract, Mr. Palmer?
Well, it's an extension, but they're drawing a new contract, so I guess it would be a new 1-year contract.
Support.
Okay, so there's a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Cummings. Okay, any further discussion, or we good for roll call? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Worcester,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next on is the VA door replacement. Mitch?
So you have in your packet the information regarding its replacement. So the total cost of replacement is $2,345. So I'd ask that we would approve that expenditure to hire Frank's Key and Lock Shop Incorporated to perform that work.
Okay, do we have any discussion or questions on that?
Was this company the only, Frank's Lock and Key, were they the only ones contracted to provide a price to repair the door?
Yeah, because it's a very specific device.
So yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I move that we accept Frank's Key and Lock Shop Inc.'s bid to spend $2,345 to repair the door at the VA.
or
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Worcester,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. Next on is the fresh air market for tough field request. Mitch?
Jan Roberts is on this call,
Yep, I saw her earlier.
so it might behoove us to unmute her so she can talk about her proposal with the board.
Okay, just find her. Okay, I think I unmuted you, Jan.
Yep. Hello. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with you tonight.
Okay. Thank you for your interest.
No problem. What can I help you with?
So the board, you've looked at this and noted that she's looking at a series of dates indicated in her email. She has indicated that what her idea for the market is to be to, and I'm quoting right off of her email, is to help the artists, crafters, mom-to-mom sellers, garage sellers, and fresh sellers all in one spot for the convenience of the shoppers. So I guess the question, what questions do you have for her before you would feel comfortable to render a decision upon her request?
Okay, somebody, any of the board members have a question for Jan?
How are you going to organize this with the property usage? Are you guys going to have tables out there, tents out there? Are you
No,
gonna
we're
get-
gonna have booths, like a 10 by 10 foot space would be booth. Those are usually the size of those pop-up canopies.
Sure. So you're going to do this. So yeah, there's going to be a bunch of pop-up canopies and 10 by 10 spacing.
Yep.
Do the artists or any of the sellers that are going to be here, do they have the opportunity to purchase more than one spot? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, they do. Fertile Field is a large area.
Absolutely.
I've already talked to a number of crafters and sellers that I know, and everybody's excited for this.
Cool. How much are the booths?
I'm undecided yet. I have to figure out everything, what everything's costing, and then kind of go from there.
Sure. Okay.
I'm going to keep it as low as possible. I'm not out to make a gazillion dollars on this. I am out to, number one, help my community. The fees will be as low as I can get them, and a new unwrapped toy for Toys for Tots. With Toys for Tots for the Oscoda area. I think it's time for a little normalcy in our lives. Do this and kind of get people out and about a little bit while using COVID guidelines. You know, there will be social distancing. There will have to be masks worn and hand sanitizer at every station. I just think it would be something really good for our community.
Absolutely. You notice it, or you notated in your email that you have a $2 million liability insurance policy.
Yep.
Does that, would you name the township as additionally insured on that policy before this?
Well, of course.
Okay. And let's see, I don't think you didn't talk about any alcohol there, so you don't need any of that.
Oh, no.
You did talk about electric though, and that sparked a little bit of a conversation that we had at the work session about how we're going to monitor the electric usage. How many booths do you think are going to be provided electric in your on an average
Mine.
weekend? Oh, just yours? Nobody else can have power. Absolutely not.
No. I'm on oxygen, so it's just so
Okay.
much easier to bring the portable concentrator and plug it in.
Oh, sure.
So I
So
need.
you're not going to be running extension cords to any of the other booths.
Oh, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? That's an accident waiting to happen.
That's true.
Yes. I'm also going to have different food trucks out there. I've got a hold of a couple of them, and they're really interested.
Are they renting a spot as well?
Well, I thought for this first one, I would let them have their spots. The restaurants have been so hard hit.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I would let them have their spot. And then we'll go from there. Maybe they'll do really well and want to return, and maybe they won't.
Right. I
You
didn't see anything about the food trucks in your email or in the document here.
I came up with that idea on Saturday after I wrote that email.
It's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you'd have to get all their insurance from them, all that fun stuff, and ensure that they
Right.
have their permit from the Charter Township of Oscoda to have a food truck for that weekend at that time in that place.
Right.
I mean, I know that Mr. Palmer was talking about, we were a little skeptical about approving those dates so far in advance.
I am so flexible. My people are flexible. If we could do like maybe 2 months in advance or 3 months or whatever, even just 2 months would be a huge help. Because what I'm planning on doing, I'm planning on making up little flyers and handing them to all of the vendors and ask them to hand those to everybody so that we can draw people in to our town more than just once or twice.
Good deal.
Summertime is
I think what this is Mr. Palmer, Mr. Spencer was saying is that you mentioned in here that your dates are very flexible. So what that led me to believe is that perhaps all of the dates you have listed in your letter may not be firmed up. So my thought was to perhaps approve the first two dates you have for May 1st and 2nd and June 5th and 6th, and then see how that goes. And then if you came in, after the May festivities and everything went well, and then come in to approve another date after the June
Okay,
dates. But that was my thought when we were talking about on Friday, just.
Yep,
for
that can work. The more I can approve in advance, the more people it's gonna pull in. Because it's definitely gonna pull the vendors and sellers in. And if everybody can hand out a list to their people as to what dates this is gonna be, people will know, oh yeah, they're doing that up in Oscoda.
So you're
That's my
basically looking, yeah, you're looking at the first weekend of each month is what I'm kind of seeing, right?
I think so.
And, I mean, if you look at, first and second would be the first, I mean, the 5th and the, oops, I just, the wrong day. 5th and the 6th, yeah, you're looking at the first weekend of each month
Okay,
is what I see, I guess.
I like Mr. Palmer's idea of approving the first two and then
For
saving the
September.
rest for a little bit later.
Okay.
Perhaps after the first go on the May 1st and 2nd, you could attend another board meeting and tell us how awesome it was.
I would love to do that.
Awesome.
And I've already talked to a local business at Truly Yours she's gonna do signage for me. She's got some crazy, awesome ideas. So I'm really excited about this. I think it could be good for everybody.
I think it will be too. And it sounds like you thought it out pretty well. So
It's been a year in my head and on paper, writing it down and trying to figure out everything, so.
And just, I guess for the insurance, do you have an entity that is insured, Jan, or is it you personally? What is your, how are you getting insurance for?
It's through Miles Insurance Company and it's attached onto my homeowners. They said that would be what I need.
Okay, so we'd have to probably take a look at that policy just to make sure it works for a public space and so
Yeah,
on.
and I would get a letter from them telling you,
Okay,
because they told me that I could get a letter for you guys.
all right. Any more
Prior to
questions?
college, correct?
I think that's how individuals generally get the insurance for the various township properties that are rented, simply through their homeowners policy.
Yeah,
Right, but that's, I mean, I hear you. That's for like a graduation party and different things like that. You're generally not inviting
other
so much of the
businesses and
public
entities, yeah.
to come, I guess, a little bit, yeah.
Is Mr.
So-
Curtis still on? Can he speak to
I
any?
mean, we can look into it
policy.
more, I would say we would want to just get a copy of our policy and we can ship it on to our attorney to have him take a look at, just to make sure that
Does
us being added, yeah.
Does the attorney have anything off the cuff to say about whether that policy would even? I mean, he may know. Mr. Curtis may know. Well, that's absolutely not going to work. You need to do it this way, and that could save us all some time if he's still on.
He is, but he's muted. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to take a look at the policy.
Yeah.
That's all insurance policies can be a little bit different, but yeah, if she wants to send it over or start with the letter, have them write up the letter saying this is why and how it works, and then send us it. We can confirm.
Sure, but
Right.
in a general, in a great big zoomed out general thing, do you see homeowners using an insurance policy in this way ever?
I've never run into it. We haven't doing defense work for municipalities. We haven't ran into a situation where somebody got hurt at a fest, one of these things. So I haven't seen it, but it does seem a bit strange that you could do it through your homeowner's policy.
that's what the insurance company told me when I called to inquire about it.
Right, and
again,
yeah, I mean, and I know people do that for smaller venues if they rent, they rent the Artisan Hall or Warrior or whatever. I mean, they do that for their, for their, if they have liquor anyways. They're required to carry that, policy.
I just want to make sure that we get the right policy for you, Ms. Roberts, and I'm sure
Mhm.
that when you send over what you've got and have our council take a look at it, if there is a problem with it, I'm sure that they'll make us aware of it, and and they'll provide us an alternative path forward so that we can, hopefully ensure that your event goes off without a hitch.
Sounds great.
And then we would have draft the use agreement, I'm assuming, Mitch?
Yes, and let me say, before we get too much further,
Okay,
I did check these dates that she requested against existing events
Excellent.
so that there was no conflict.
okay, but right now, tonight, we're just talking about May 1st and 2nd and June 5th and 6th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? Okay, thanks. Thank you for being on this evening and answering our questions. And thank you for wanting to do the event.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna take
I
her
know
off.
you're gonna be.
Oh, I'm gonna mute her. Yep, I muted her right when she was saying you're gonna mute me. Is the board ready to act on this, or do you need more information? What's the thought?
I suppose I would move to approve May 1st and 2nd and June 5th and 6th pending review of the insurance policy.
And a mutually agreeable use agreement.
And of course, the mutually agreeable use agreement.
I would support that.
Okay.
Thank you,
Right.
Ann.
Yep. So there is a motion by Mr. Spencer and support by Mr. Palmer. All right, let me just write that down. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Ms. Richards,
Yes, motion carried. Next on is Oscoda Beach Park use request. Mitch?
I don't want to get to that. I think Sarah Bray, who is the person requesting, she indicated she was going to be on this meeting as well.
Sarah what?
Sarah Bray, B-R-A-Y.
Sarah, if you are on the line, yep, I see a raised hand someplace.
Under LG L3222DL.
There we go. Okay, I just asked her to unmute, I believe. Okay, you
Hello.
should be unmuted. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, good evening. I want to have a Trump supporter rally on April 24th at Oscoda Town Beach. I will be donating all the food. I will use my own electricity. I'm gonna have my own generator. Also, I was requesting maybe if you guys would open the restrooms, but I was informed that that wouldn't be a possibility, which is not a problem. I will go ahead and rent the porta potties for the day. I think that this would be really great for the community. There's a lot of Trump supporters out there that been just, I don't know, just really down. And I think we all need to get out and talk to each other and kind of rally together. I do have some speakers that would like to come out. I do want to let you guys know that I do not condone violence, racism, any unwanted conduct. I am a paramedic. I've been a paramedic for 8 years. So I'm well aware of COVID and 19 restrictions, but this will be an outdoor event and I will supply everything on my own. I'm just asking permission, which I'm not sure that I needed, but I wanted to make sure that it was okay with Oscoda to be at Oscoda Town Beach because I know it is a public place. But I'm thinking more of a family-oriented event with children. I have children. I have one in high school and one at Richardson. So I'm just asking permission from you guys to let me go ahead and get this off the ground.
Okay.
Sarah,
Any
would-
questions?
Yeah, Sarah, when you, in your email, you ask about a pavilion. Could you clarify what structure you're talking about? Are you talking about the band shell kind of right in, kind of in the center, or are you talking about the more formal shelter that's on the beach?
The one that's dead center by the skate park.
Okay.
Just in case if I get a rainy event, because I plan to have kind of a stage event, because I'm planning to invite speakers to come out. Whether they'll come or not, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking John James, Candace Owens. I have other people that were willing to come out that are Republicans, that are Trump supporters from Wisconsin. As much as I love to talk, there's other people that can talk better than me, believe it or not. So I just want, I want to build up a stage and donate food and sodas. I'm not encouraging alcohol, just a family day with sodas and barbecue. So, and that will all be donated.
So you're not going to be selling the hot dogs or popcorn?
No.
Okay, that was a question we had Friday.
That was originally the thought, you know, just maybe sell them for 50 cents or $1 or something like that. And my kids were going to work the stands, but it seems to be too many politics with that. So we're just going to go ahead and donate them. This is just something I really want to do with my heart. And I really think that we all need to get out there and support each other and be there for each other. As a paramedic for the last 8 years, I've seen a lot of suicides. I've seen a lot of death. I've seen a lot of depression. A lot of people are just overwhelmed, being locked up in their homes for a year. And it's more of a mental health crisis for me. I just think people just need to get out, get some sunshine, and kind of support each other.
I know that you've said that you don't condone violence, but I mean, I have to admit that this is a pretty hot button topic. Do you have plans in place for in case some supporters for other sides arrive? And what are those plans?
I feel that where we are located specifically, I'm not anticipating Antifa or any other violent combatant. If that's the case, geez, I don't know. It seems like the people around here kind of don't put up with much of that, and we don't either. So,
right,
that's
part of the scary right there. They're not going to put up with it, and so I guess I mean it is a public park.
Is what you meant.
Sure.
I mean, I think she said no, put up with the violence.
About 4th of July. I mean, you know, most 99.9% of Trump supporters are just middle-class Americans that work hard. They have families, they have children. They're not violent people. You know, we're good people, we're hardworking. I don't believe for a second this is gonna turn out to be a violent event of any sorts. I think it'd just be like another 4th of July in Oscoda.
You're talking about
Fair
April
enough.
24th, are you not?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's what.
I was just kind of making an analogy there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was on the right date.
Okay.
All right. And I mean, generally speaking, the band shell doesn't require we've never required like rental agreements there before. We just like usually reserve it.
Right.
So
I just kind of do the right thing. And
yeah,
I just,
it's a little bit of a
talk to the county first. I just want to be compliant with the county. That's all I'm, you know.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to follow the rules here, and I
have a question.
appreciate your support.
Okay, Tim, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. How many porta potties are needed? I mean, I was just curious to know if this lady's going to need to be renting them. I mean, I would imagine a minimum of two, one for each gender maybe or something. I mean, how do we determine what to write minimum amount? I don't have a formula for it.
I don't think there's a gender issue. It's just a porta potty. If you have to use a restroom, just go. I was planning on renting 5 of them. I don't think I have to put male or female. If that's necessary, I can obviously do that. But normally in public parks or any kind of area, there's porta potties. They're not really so much always identified. But if you need me to identify, I mean, I could put anything you like on them.
Right. No, fair enough. I just didn't know what the topic was foreign to me completely, which is why I was looking to Ann if you had any suggestions on this one.
Right.
I don't have any previous experience with this one. I think people have just either the porta potties were just always there in a sufficient quantity, or never considered that.
I think it's it's kind of a guess.
It's like you kind of wait in line and there's 5 porta potties, and whenever next one's open, it's the one you use, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're not cheap, so I would personally, I mean, they're.
I checked into it already. It's only going to cost me about $2,000.
That's quite a bit.
For how long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very generous.
Yeah, very.
It's something that I really want to do. I feel pretty strongly about, and there's a lot of people that are wanting to come out. I've even talked to a few people from Bikers from Trump, Patriots for Trump, Women for Trump. I'm planning on inviting everybody out, and I think it'd be good for the businesses of Oscoda.
I think it's a great gathering event idea, and I think that you're going to get some turnout. My only reservation is the hot button topic issue at this time. And I hate to say, I hate to talk about, postponing this until our next special board meeting now, but I would really like to hear what our police chief has to say about this event and hear his thoughts before I make a decision.
And that's another thing. I did talk to the Oscoda Police Department, and as a Trump supporter and as a paramedic and as just a human being, I fully support law enforcement, and I was kind of looking into doing something for Oscoda Police Department to kind of show our appreciation. So
when you talked to them, did you talk about this specific event?
Yes, I did. And they said, when you get a little bit more organized and you get, permission granted, come back and we'll see what we can do with this. But they understand I'm a paramedic. They understand, this is true from my heart. And all our other supporters that we do support are local law enforcement and any other police officer.
Oh yeah, and I don't think there's a question about that. And I'm 99.9% certain that this event would go off without a hitch. However, since there is a 0.01% chance that things could go south, I would really, I think that we should discuss it with or have some kind of law enforcement informed talk about it, if you will. What does the board think? I mean, am I standing alone over here?
I guess my opinion is it's a public event, and we've let other organizations use FERTA, like Need Our Water. I don't see any different than that. I don't think we did anything but inform the police department that they're going to have a rally.
Right, but Need Our Water didn't have opponents that break windows and smash businesses and have that's a oof. Yeesh.
I don't know. I guess I don't want to get into. It sounds like it's a peaceful protest to me, and that's part of America.
Fair enough.
I would say that based on what she's implied here and we talked about this Friday and had a couple of questions about whether or not there was going to be sale of food and those kinds of things. With that not happening, based on what I've taken from her comments, I think she's going out of her way to bring this to board for approval. I don't think it's really necessary. I think they could have held this event. People could have gathered at the beach park and in a meeting, and cooked some hot dogs and had some speakers and doesn't really need the township board approval.
I
I'm
think
more
the-
than happy to approve the event, but I quite honestly, she could have done this without coming to the board. So I applaud her for, trying to make sure that everything is done properly. And I applaud her for that. And I would be in favor of approving this event, even though I don't really think we need to.
And I guess I just want to change my verbiage. I used the wrong word. I said peaceful protest and I meant peaceful assembly.
There you go.
I think that's
Right.
I get it.
Yep, and I guess I would just add, we allow the pavilion or the band shell to be reserved, so she would just need to reserve that, but I think, if anybody wants to bring in porta potties or extra things like that, they should probably, they need to ask permission to do that, which she's doing that. I guess I'm just saying, I see this like for the future. We're starting to bring things to our beach park and add to it, just even for a weekend. We need to know, that vendor is, been paid and they will be picking them up, the next day or whatever, if
And they're
we're-
not going to
how
leave them
that-
in the middle of where people drive.
Well, here's a
So
for
on and so
instance.
forth.
Yeah, for instance is our beach
Location.
park is not open right now, so our public restrooms are not open. So, you're bringing these bathrooms in, and more than just people at the rally will be using them. And if they're not picked up at the end of the rally and they're there the next day, we just need to make sure that they're removed, promptly, and they're not left out there for a few days, which then they're not, they're not
Yes,
cleaned,
ma'am.
and then,
I
yeah,
have,
you know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. I have to pay for them before they're even delivered.
Right.
And they assured me they will be promptly picked up.
Yeah, well, and like I said, I think you're going above and beyond. Personally, 5 bathrooms is a lot. We don't even do that, we don't do that for bigger functions, but that's your call. I think 2 or 3 would be good, but that's your call. That's very generous of you, sure.
I agree
I
with
guess
Miss
I'm just one
Richards.
of those people, when you gotta
I
go, you
agree.
gotta go, you hate to wait.
Yeah, I hear you. When you gotta
Doing
go,
the
you gotta
dance.
go. That would be me. That would be me. I'm the same way. So yeah, I hear you. But,
She's expecting a lot more women at this event.
yeah, apparently, Bill. We just can't all go by the trees. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
all right.
geez.
Well, I guess
Okay,
where it
well, we
stands is
digress.
coordinate with Mitch on the placement of the porta potties and make sure your reservation is in for the band shell area, and enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
Thanks
Have a
for
great event.
thanks
Yep.
for hanging out in Oscoda.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
you.
All right. So we don't need formal action on that, everybody? Is that
I
what we
don't think so.
decided?
I
Okay,
don't think we do.
all right,
I
okay,
don't think so.
great. I'm just gonna mute her. I think I just did. Okay, all right, so we are back on to the RRC annual meeting on the agenda.
March 36 o'clock. Which was stated earlier to me.
I'm sorry, what? April 1st date, right?
No, he said March 30th. 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Oh, yeah, March 30th. Why did I write April 1st?
Because that was the date
April
I was
Fools.
given earlier.
Oh,
April Fools.
right. Anybody have,
I'm looking.
March
Will it
30th,
also be
2021,
virtual?
6 p.m.
Yeah,
It'll be virtual, correct? Yes.
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm fine.
very good. Me too.
what time do we say? I'm sorry, 6 o'clock?
Yes.
Yes.
6 o'clock.
And, obviously, there's gonna be agenda. What is the, are we just odds here, I think, again? But, like, what are we doing?
Oh, if you'll excuse me, speaking of porta potties, I'll be right back.
Okay,
Is he
what is
still
the
on?
goal?
Is he still on or?
I don't think so.
Okay,
He
that
was-
basically
was.
is, that we're required to bring on the boards together. Some brief discussions of what the boards have done in the last 12 months. And if there's a little Q&A and then maybe some other discussion.
Okay,
And then that would be the completion of that.
okay, well, I think we have to wait for a certain person to come back at least to make, because we will need a motion on this, right?
Yes. My
Any
personal
further
thought,
discussion, huh?
my personal thought is what you, after these brief, I'll call them updates and small Q&A, it might be worthwhile for the various boards to talk about the 7 strategic goals that the township approved some time ago, and how they fit with what all these boards are trying to do.
Okay,
And during this meeting, it might be a good idea for Todd to exchange or, kind of do a little informational session of what the RRC certification is going to do and what the expectations are of all the boards.
okay. I think Tammy, Tammy is still on, or I know she can't comment, but I guess, well, and I think we have a couple of RRC committees members on, or not RRC, I'm sorry, EIC. So I'm just saying Todd's not on to relay that too, but we'll make sure that he gets that information. All right, so is there a motion to set that meeting for?
Make a motion that we set the joint board meeting for the RRC certification for March 30th at 6 p.m. via Zoom.
Support.
There is a motion by Mr. Westerbar, support by Mr. Palmer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wusterbarth,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Ms. Richards.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, so with that, we are on to public comment, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, so just as a point of interest, we're at 9:13 on time right now, so there is a possibility, depending on how many people want to talk, that we will have to extend. So, okay, just want to bring that to everybody's attention. Okay, the first one, I'm just going to go, first person I have is John Barta for public comment. John, I hit your, yep.
Yep, and I'm unmuted here. We're good?
You are. Let me just find my timer.
Oh, I'm not going to be a minute.
Okay, well, let's see if you're actually a minute or not. Just kidding. All right. All
All
right,
right,
I'm ready. I'm sorry.
You're using my time here.
Sorry.
Earlier, Todd Dickerson talked about the Steele Avenue project, and I didn't understand what that was about. The other thing that I wondered about was the Beach Park property purchase that was talked about at the last meeting, and I thought that was something of a done deal, but the newspaper kind of led me in a different direction. So I'm wondering if that was ever consummated, so to speak.
Okay.
And my final comment, I'm going to be over probably, is that these Zoom meetings, I personally find them to be much better than any other process as far as getting the public access and the interactivity of the whole process. So I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. We don't normally respond right back, but I'll just,
I
I'll
understand
tell you,
that.
well, for the beach park though, I'll just answer, I didn't read the ad in the paper, so I don't really know what they said. But the board did authorize purchase of that property, and we're putting forth an offer. So whether or not
Okay,
that's
so that's-
consummated is not, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So with that, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have a public comment? Use the raise hand feature. We have quite a few people on the line, so. I don't see any other raised hands. I'll end up going to the phone calls as well, but if you have a computer, if you want to hit the raise hand feature, I'm not seeing, so I see, oh, I see one. Okay, I'm guessing it's need our water. There we go. Okay, you should be able to.
Yeah. Hi
Okay.
there.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Ann. Kathy Woosterbarth at 7270 Shoreview Drive. I am actually gonna echo John's statements that I'm unclear whether this has the beach property has been completed. It's been 2 weeks and we're not sure whether what the status of this purchase is confusing to me. So I thought it was pretty straightforward because we offered, from what I understand, cash. So yeah, that's concerning to me that hasn't been finished. People may know that this has been something that myself and a couple of planning commission members have just really been pushing and trying to get this purchased so that we could have a strategic control of that area at the beach park. So that's one item. The other is that we are planning a webinar for really the Oscoda area for the PFAS education and really kind of strategy related to Clark's Marsh and the public comment periods related to both Clark's Marsh and the Vanetton Lake plume that we're trying to get the Air Force to address. That webinar is slated for April 1st. It will be short, it'll just be an hour. And so we're teaming with National Wildlife Federation and the Michigan League of Conservation Voters, and just trying to educate the community and letting people know about that process. So
sorry, technically, Kathy, that wasn't your buzzer, that was John's buzzer. I forgot to restart, so you can keep talking for probably another minute.
Well, that's it.
So really, I apologize for that.
We're making it an effort because there has been kind of a lapse in community engagement with our group because we aren't able to hold public meetings and we don't have our rallies and the town halls are virtual. So it's kind of like things have been really odd for the Now group. So we're looking forward to this webinar so that we can link with the community and do some education and strategizing with the related to these proposals. So thanks so much for your time, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Did you have a time for that meeting?
I think
She's
already
on mute again.
All right, I can
believe it's at 7 o'clock on the 31st.
Oh, 31st. Okay, Bill. Thank you. I think we were toying between the 1st and the 31st. So yeah. That's
April
right.
31st, 7 p.m.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
And of course, we'll be getting that out. We'll be pushing some advertisements out for that too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else have public comment? Use the raise hand feature. If not, I'm going to start hitting some phone numbers here. 248-505-1009. Can't remember what the other person. I don't know if you have anything. 248-505-1009. No. 989-736-3111. I just asked to unmute. If you had anything, then you can hit the *6. 736-311. No. Okay, we also have 7. Oh, there they are. Hello?
Here I am. Yeah, Justin Griffith here.
Okay, hey Justin. Go ahead. Let me set your timer. Okay, go ahead.
I would like to thank Jan Roberts for attempting to use Furtaw Field. I think it's a great place and a great opportunity for people to use, and thank her for that. And I heard something about a possible crosswalk. And if it's over US 23, I think that's a great opportunity and thing to have also. So, and that's all I got.
Okay, thanks, Justin. Actually, it wasn't a crosswalk, it was a over the road sign.
Well, that works too, because
Okay.
it would it be for like
I think they're still looking at
putting
that.
banners on?
No, I think, yeah, it's some kind of an entrance sign kind of, but they're still looking at that. I just wanted to clarify on that.
Right on. Well, I like that too.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. 7363111, was that who I just had? I can't remember, sorry. 7392364. 7392364, did you have a public comment? Okay, not hearing. 7395533. Just ask to unmute if you had a public comment. 7395533. Okay, not seeing any. And 7395729. I believe that's Brian. 7395729.
Hello, can you hear
Hi,
me?
Brian. Yep.
Yeah, you gotta, I think you might realize, but when you go to prompt me to do this, you gotta go *6, and that takes about 4 or 5 seconds sometimes. But anyway, thanks, Brian Haley, Oscoda. Hey, what a great meeting tonight. And I'm glad we talked about freedom of speech and a whole bunch of other things, and can't be more in agreement with that. I've traveled a lot in my life, and I saw where you didn't have freedom of speech that much, and then you don't really have a country. So I applaud you on that. I want to just keep it brief and positive. As on your new website, could we have a simple one-click tab, and maybe Jeremy can answer this because he's involved, oversight, a simple one-click tab that would take us directly to like tonight's upcoming board meeting packet. Now, you guys usually set that on Friday afternoons or something. Your agenda was pretty well set, I believe. And so you could put that there and make it nice and easy so people don't have to, not everyone's jiggy with computers. They're just not. And but they want to be. So if you give them that extra where it's just so easy, boom, you got the board meeting packet on maybe a Friday or Saturday. They could look it over before you guys vote on Monday. And that would be nice. And it's respectful. And let's use our technology. And I'm going to go against Jeremy on this, but I would also suggest that we post the same way to all of our local Facebook pages to entice them to be more involved with their community. And that would make it so easy. So if you really want involvement, if you really want other people's opinions, there's some really smart people out here. Leave me out of it. There's some intelligent people out here. There's experts out here. I know. I served them for 20 years. When you're in these people's homes, the smartest thing I probably did, and I recognized it early on, is that I provided the service properly so we can set that to the side. But at the end, when you go to collect the money, everyone's happy. That's your opportunity to ask a question or two. I usually kept it limited, try to keep it at one, of any person that I wanted to gain knowledge from. And it was right there in front of me. And I'm in their home or out in their driveway. I'm going to get a real answer. So I want more involvement, not less. I want more facts, not so much gossip or innuendo, as Mr. Worsterbarth would say. I want to take it to the bone. In other words, I want more involved. And it may seem like it could get confusing. Through a very short period of time, I think you will value it. And anyway, I thought it was a great meeting, and Have a good night, okay? Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, well, I think I ran down everybody for public comment, so, okay, so with that, moving on to board comment. We do have like 5 minutes left before we have to extend, so keeping that in mind.
Got a couple there from Mr. Haley. The new website, I agree. We will absolutely take into consideration the tab or a link that will take you to the entire agenda and board packet, not just the agenda. I definitely agree with that. And as you are a very active community member, and as can be seen by your attendance at our meetings and whatnot, I will leave posting that board packet to Facebook to you, fine sir.
Okay, any, does that wrap up your public or your board
Yes, ma'am.
comment, Jeremy? Sorry. All right, anybody else have board comment? No? No? Okay, I just wanted, I guess the beach park purchase, or I shouldn't say beach park, that's what got us in trouble to begin with. It's not a beach, it's not at the beach park. It's in the block from that's in River Road, Lake and Michigan. The board 2 weeks ago did authorize making an offer, and that offer has been made. So I do not know if we are under contract as of this evening. So, and I respect your comments, Kathy, but in the same sense, we can't just go from a meeting to making a cash offer the next day. Sadly enough, things do go a little bit slower than that. We have to draft a purchase agreement and so on. So it does take a little bit of time. But that being said, it was submitted, and I think we are just waiting on the formal response. So hopefully we'll be able to move forward with that. Okay. All right, with that, I guess I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Rock on, everybody. See you
Goodbye.
soon.
Night, everybody.